Good morning. I guess it's afternoon now. Beautiful day at Seven Summits Lodge. We have the world-renowned Chef Dino Cruz here today, and we're continuing our tradition that we started a few weeks ago of starting to do these cooking demos to showcase what one of the weekly specials is for the week. So today, Dino's going to be preparing pan-fried oysters, and as always, the recipes are online. You're welcome to try it out at home or come down to the lodge and have it for yourself or get it for takeout. All options are on the table, so enjoy the class, and we'll turn it over to Dino here for the pan-fried oysters.
All right, guys. Like I said, we're making pan-fried oysters. I have not served this on the special menu for a long time. You know, it's one of those things where you either love them or you don't like them so much. So hopefully the ones that are watching this, you know, they love oysters. These are local oysters, Canal yearling, extra small. So extra small, you know, it'll still be a little bit of different sizes in there, but for the most part, you know, they're going to be about an ounce. So it's going to be, you really don't want them bigger than this. You know, the smaller the oysters are, the sweeter they are, because they do act as a filter for the bottom of the ocean. They're kind of like a filter, so a lot of sand goes in there. So the older they get, you know, the more pungent it's going to be, the more the chances are that there's going to be sand in it. So you really want to get the smaller oysters. That way they're not quite as old, and they're going to be a little bit sweeter because, like I said, they're kind of filters for the ocean, and you know, the longer they sit there, and the more pungent it's going to be. So with that in mind as well, we do prefer the smaller ones, but at the same time, they're going to be a little bit more fragile to handle. They're a little bit more sensitive, so we're have to really be careful and gentle with these. So here I do have a little bit of a drain pan just to kind of make sure that it's not sitting in its juice while we're breading it. So I kind of have it in this little colander here. We have our breading procedure. So we have our just a normal flour, all-purpose flour. We have egg wash. I did about 2 eggs and then about a couple tablespoons of water in there just to kind of loosen it up a little bit. And then we're using Japanese breadcrumbs, panko. We're going to use panko today. I've done this with cornmeal or like different types of breadcrumbs. But for this one, we're going to be pretty basic. We're just going to use Japanese panko breadcrumbs. Okay? And we're also going to make a house-made tartar. I'll show you guys really quick. A really good homemade tartar sauce is going to go great with this. So first, really, you just want to be, again, keep it in mind, always be gentle with the oyster. Just going to lay it in the flour there. This is one of the important parts, is not letting it sit in the flour for too long. And just kind of getting it in and getting it out. You know, we don't want it to just kind of have the flour keep going in there. And then one of the main issues that I have with oysters, for people who love them, they'll say it's too heavy of a breading. It has too much breading. So that's kind of one of the things that we want to focus on when we're doing these oysters, is to make sure they're just lightly breaded, because we don't want it to be, you know, mostly breading and a little bit of oyster. We want it to be very lightly breaded. So here we have our oysters in here. I'm just going to kind of toss it around in there and really just shake off all that excess flour with my hands very gently here. It's going to go right in our egg. So we're just going to do this. Again, being aware that, you know, we don't want to flatten the oysters. We want them to retain their cylinder shape. You know, we don't want like flat pancake looking oysters. We want them to maintain their natural shape as much as possible. So again, we're gonna kind of just make sure dusting off all that excess flour there and going into our egg. Okay. And I think there's 2 more there. So really, that was probably about, 30, 60 seconds in the flour just to kind of toss it around a little bit. You can either change gloves at this point and put new ones on, or just kind of get all that excess flour off of there. So now that we are in the egg, we're going to go and the breadcrumbs. So again, this is, you kind of have to go one by one on this. And we're just going to take one hand, kind of dip in there and let that one hand be all wet with the egg and soggy from the flour, and then the right hand can be dry to roll our oyster in. So when you do roll them in the panko, you should still be able to see the outline of the oyster, because if you can't, then it's probably a little too heavily breaded. Unless, of course, you like it that way. I know some people like it, like, that heavy breading. But today we're gonna focus on just making sure we're lightly breading it, and so just shaking all that extra egg off and then rolling it right in the breadcrumbs. You can still see we can still see the oyster through it, so that's a good sign. Another thing you want to avoid is taking your oyster and then like flattening it in there with the panko. You don't want to like pack the panko in there and smush the oyster or anything like that. You don't want to do anything like that. You want to make sure, again, we're retaining the shape, the natural shape of the oyster. Just kind of rolling it around in there. So got a few more in there. So again, we don't want to pack the oyster in. We don't want to flatten it in any way. We want to make sure it's going in there nice and gentle. Okay. We're going to pan fry it, but I know the big trend right now is an air fryer. I have not done oysters in an air fryer. That'd be a good option for this one, though, to try it out. Maybe email me, let me know how it turned out for you. If you did choose to air fry it. But we're looking for a nice crispy pan fry. So, and again, you don't want it sitting in the egg too long. That's why we're kind of pretty much in and out. As soon as it goes in there, it's going to come out. A little bit more panko on the top just to keep it loose and start sticking together. A little bit of parchment paper I'm using as well, because I did make about 60 oysters. Finishing it up now, but there's about 60 or 70 in here. So obviously you don't need to make that much, but I am preparing it as well for dinner service tonight, because it will be offered all week. These oysters are from Hoquiam, so they're super local. Hood Canal, yearlings. Like I said, you want to go for the extra small. Okay. So really just kind of toss it in the panko there. And then we're done. We're going to get rid of these guys. Change our gloves. Okay, so we have our oysters here. Obviously, that's a lot more than we need. But again, this is going to be available this pan. Hopefully, we can sell all this tonight. So I'm over here. I have my. I'm using an aluminum saute pan here, so just be careful when you use aluminum pans. The heat's not quite as even. They're kind of cheap, so it takes a little bit more maintenance. But we're going to turn this on medium just to kind of get the oil nice and hot for us. And meanwhile, we are going to make our tartar sauce. So our homemade tartar sauce, you guys should have a recipe. I doubled that recipe that you guys have, or maybe I even tripled it. Because we're going to end up making probably about, I think about a half gallon in essence. Yeah, we're going to end up with about 2 quarts. So I believe the recipe I gave you guys, it only gets you a pint. So, but anyway, so if you do not have one of these, if you do not have one of these, you're going to have to kind of fine mince your red onion, and you're going to have to fine mince your garlic. But other than that, you should be okay not using one of these. But this is definitely advisable. It makes it really quick and easy. You just kind of throw it all in there, okay? So we got our 2 ounces of red onion. So I just kind of, it's okay if it's a little bit big because we're going to process it down anyway in the robo here. We'll have our 1 ounce of garlic, or half ounce of garlic, I mean. And we are going to clean that up a little bit here. Okay, so now that we have most of the puree, we're going to introduce our capers. We've got our dill relish. Not sweet dill relish, just regular dill relish. We have our egg yolks. Okay. We have our mustard. Dijon mustard is what we're using. Okay. Put it in there. And then at this point, all we have left is the liquid and the oil. So you want to make sure it's an emulsion dressing. So we have the acidic component. We have our malt vinegar and our lemon juice. And then we have our oil. Okay. I'll put this over here. So we're going to let this go for about 60 seconds here. Alright, so we have a pretty emulsified well in there. We're going to just kind of stir it around. I didn't grab a spatula, I should have grabbed the spatula, that's okay. So we're just going to make sure we don't have large chunks of red onion in there or large chunks of garlic. That's pretty nice, as smooth as it's going to get. Okay. So now we're going to introduce our malt vinegar and lemon juice. And then in there, we're going to get really mixed up in there nice and incorporated. Then we're going to slowly drizzle our oil. Nice thin stream. So about a half ounce per second here. Turn it off. We're going to turn it off about halfway through. Just kind of double check. Make sure it's emulsifying. So towards the remaining 25-30% of the oil, I can go a little bit faster if you wanted to. now we have our tartar sauce. Nice. It looks like homemade goodness. It's gonna be really delicious with our oysters. So again, I made a lot more than your guys' recipe, so don't worry about that. You're only gonna have probably about a 25% of this, I believe, about a pint, 2 cups. So here we have our oil. Should be nice and hot. We're gonna do probably 3 oysters just to kind of try it out. We don't need to do a bunch. It's just gonna be for myself and maybe Doug. And I know Paula loves oysters. I'm kidding, she hates oysters. But anyway, so we're gonna just pan fry it. It should only take really about 60 to 90 seconds to pan fry it. So you can fry it longer depending on how you like it crispy. But really, probably about 45 seconds on each side. It is going to be more than sufficient. So we need an ample amount of oil. So you want to have enough oil in there to cover at least half of the oyster, to cover the oyster in oil at least halfway. So that's what pan frying means. The oil level reaches to about half of where the oyster is, if that makes sense. So it doesn't need to be drowning in oil, but the oil needs to be frying at least half of the oyster that's touching it. Alright? And again, it depends on your liking, if you want it well done, fry it up a little bit longer. You're going to have to turn it down a little bit to get that really nice, crispy, well done. Just turn it down, the heat down a little bit. Keep it in there a little longer. But for this one, for this version, it's really almost done. We just want to make sure it's nice and crispy. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Just kind of turn it around a little bit. It's done, so the heat's off. When you grab a plate real quick, it's hot. Alright, you guys, so I have my oysters. Again, that was about 45 seconds on each side. You're more than okay to fry it a little longer. To really get it well done, if that's what you prefer. But you will need to turn the heat down again. Okay, so we have our tartar sauce here. All right, so we have our pan-fried oysters, a little bit of tartar sauce there, homemade, and obviously, we would garnish it with a little bit of maybe some fresh dill or a lemon, maybe just some chopped parsley, but a little bit of garnish would be nice on this. But for just myself and Doug, we're good to eat it like this. So anyway, that was it. Thank you guys for joining me today. This pan-fried oysters will be available all week this week until supplies last, because try and get in there before Sunday. Usually Sunday will be starting to run out of our specials because we want to keep it fresh and all those good things. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'll see you guys next time.